Welcome back to Robert Lowe, where I show you the ins and outs of graphic design as it pertains to t-shirts, logos, and GIF animations. And today, I want to show you guys how to build a t-shirt mockup. Now, if you've ever designed a t-shirt or you had somebody design a t-shirt for you, you would probably know what a mockup is. But basically, you would put a design on top of the t-shirt and you would use that as a guideline or representation before you actually got your t-shirt made. Now, this is a pretty standard process and a lot of people respect this because a lot of people would rather see it versus visualizing it. Now, the t-shirt that I'm using for this mock-up actually comes from Bella Canvas. I actually been in contact with them and I was so lucky to actually talk to them. They were actually happy enough to send me out a package for me to actually do this. And if you stick with me to the end of this video, I actually have a surprise for you guys involving this mock-up. So, if you like this one, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, just go ahead and subscribe. I do this all the time. And I want you guys to tell me, have you been involved in a mock-up process? Have you actually been able to design a mock-up or actually use a mock-up? If you have, let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't, tell me why not, or tell me how you actually feel about the mock-up process. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and make magic. Okay, so our tutorial is actually going to take place in Photoshop today, and basically what I want to do is just clean up this shirt, get it off the background, and then put something in it so it can, pretty much translate into a mock-up. And this is pretty simple to do. I just have to first take this out the background. So with the pen tool, I'm just going to zoom in and I want to just go through the edges and just trying to get this out as clean as possible. So if you guys haven't seen my pen tool tutorial, you might want to watch that. I'm gonna go ahead and link that in the description box somewhere. But basically you just want to stay within inside the edges and just kind of click and drag out. Okay, so now that we went around this with the pen tool, all I need to do is just right click or hold control and click and just make a selection. Now I want mine to just kind of feather off at like a half a pixel, so it's not going to be too feathered but it's not going to be too sharp. I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. And with the dancing ants going around the t-shirt, all I need to do is go to my layers panel and then go straight down to where I see the masks and just hit that. And that looks pretty good, except for I have this little piece right here in the middle that I need to kind of get out. So I'm just going to go ahead with the pen tool, just zoom all the way back in and try to get that out as well. So now that I got that selected out the background, all I'm going to do is hit Command J and make a copy of it. Now with this copy, I'm going to go ahead and put this in a group, and I'm going to name this group dark gray with a black pocket. And now that I made that, I want to go ahead and go back to that first layer, make a copy of that again, and I want to drag that on top of this group, and I want to call this group shadows. Then I'm going to close that down and turn it off. So now that I have these three layers, there's just a few things I want to do with this first. So this first behind layer, I want to go ahead and turn this into a smart object, just so I can do a little bit more stuff with it. What I want to do is kind of double click inside of this and pretty much turn this black. So I'm going to cover overlay it, and I want this just to be black, and I'm going to hit OK. So what I want to do now is just go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. And with the Gaussian blur, 40 pixels look okay. I might bring it down to 35 just to see what that looks like. And yeah, I think that looks cool. So hitting OK, I'm gonna go ahead and bring back in the top layer. So I'm pretty sure everybody was wondering what this tape is on these arms and stuff like that. And this was just to hang up the mock-up. So just to make sure that the mock-up was on the wall and that it was pretty much being displayed correctly, I made sure that the tape was there. But I knew I'd be able to paint these out using the clone stamp tool. So what you want to do is just create a new layer and then click on the clone stamp tool, and with the clone stamp tool, just make sure that you're sampling everything that's current and below. So up here, just make sure you click current and below, zoom in, and just sample pretty much one of these sleeves. So I'm gonna sample this side of the sleeve, and I'm just gonna bring that down over here like so on this new layer and just kind of brush it away. And then I could do it again on the other side, just holding down Alt or Option, clicking to get that sample and just kind of bring it down like so. Now because I have this in the shadows layer as well, I'm just going to go ahead and Command J and drop that in front of the shadows layer as well, and then I have pretty much two copies that look pretty good. And that looks pretty good. So now that I have that together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a hue saturation and I'm going to put colorize. And with this colorize, as you can see, it colors everything that's up under it. I don't want it to color the shadow, so I'm gonna pretty much make layer 2 and gray 1 into one group again and call this mock. And then on the hue saturation, I'm just gonna control click and go to create clipping mask. That pretty much just puts it on the t-shirt. But with this, I want to make sure that the pocket stays a certain color, so I'm gonna bring in the black brush again, but this time I'll make sure that the opacity is 100%, and I'm just gonna go ahead and brush away the pocket. And also I want to brush away this tag because I don't want that to be any colors, anything like that. I want it to retain that white color that was already there. So I'm just going to brush that away. And then I want to brush away the hue saturation that's on this hanger. So with a black brush, just kind of brush it away. You can also make this smaller by hitting the bracket. So open bracket and close bracket on your computer. You can just make that bigger and smaller. And you can just brush away what you need to brush away. Now the only real purpose of this was just to show you guys how easy it is to change the color of the t-shirt. I really don't need this, so I'm gonna leave it up right now because it just looks kind of cool, but I'm never gonna change the color like this. However, I will go to the shadows and I'm going to drop this down, and I want to turn the copy into a multiply, and I want to combine the copy and layer 2 together by hitting Command E. Now with this Command E, I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a multiply, and this is what we get. Now that's a little dark, and I understand that, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a levels layer, and I just want to bump up this middle one just a little bit, and I want to turn this top one down slightly. And what that's gonna do is pretty much blow out the colors. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this levels and I'm gonna create a clipping mask on top of that, and now I can kind of adjust this the way that I want it to be. Now on top of this, I want to create a curves adjustment layer, and with that curves adjustment layer, I'm gonna go ahead and clip this as well. I'm just gonna bring it up some, and my final adjustment is gonna be a brightness and contrast, and that looks pretty good to me. So the way that you would check this technically is just to drop down the dark gray or whatnot and go into your hue saturation, and with that you want to go ahead and drop the saturation down to 0. So the thing is, you want to be able to see the shadows. So like I said, if I can still see the shadows here and I can still see the shadows down here somewhere, we're doing pretty good. So I want to just bring the lightness back down to 0 and bring the saturation back up to 25, and I just want to go ahead and turn the hues back down to pretty much nothing. So the artwork that I'm choosing today is this Ignorance is a Disease. This was pretty much just some client work that I did maybe a month or 2 ago. And I want to go ahead and drop this in on top of the t-shirt. Now it's not supposed to be there at the very top of everything, but I'm just going to put it there for right now. And what I want to show you guys is what's happening here. So I'm going to turn this white because it's black right now and you guys really can't get the full effect. But when I turn this white, it's pretty much just a sharp edge kind of white thing. It doesn't really work with the actual t-shirt. But when I move it in between the shadows and the dark gray with pockets, this is what we get. Now it's actually applied to the shirt, and that's what we want. But I don't want it to go there. I actually want it to go inside of this pocket. So I'm going to scale this down and put it over here. And when I zoom in, it's actually on the pocket. Now I can pretty much just scale this out like this, or you know, to do what I want to do. But that's just a small example of what I'm trying to do here. So you guys know that this is a pocket t-shirt from Bella Canvas, and I want to make a mock-up for the pocket design. So I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to bring in a new layer. And on this new layer, I'm just going to paint it white, and then I'm going to turn this into a smart object. Then I want to scale this down and put it on the actual pocket. So I'm going to scale this down like so and bring it over here into the pocket. And from here, all I want to do is just kind of warp it down and then hit enter or return or OK. Now what I want to do is put a mask on this, and I want to take my brush and just brush away all the excess stuff. So all this stuff on this side of the pocket, that really doesn't need to be there. Now this layer just became amazing, and the reason why is because it's smart. And if you guys really don't know much about smart objects, I'm going to do a video about that soon. But what's good about this is that I can make a copy of this and bring this to the top, and then I can throw all of this into a group by itself and close that down. And with this top mockup, all I have to do is just bring the opacity down and bring the fill down so it doesn't get in the way of the artwork. So like I said a few seconds ago, this became awesome because now it's smart. I can do a lot of stuff with it. And one thing that I want to do with this is double click inside of it and hit OK. Now this brings up that white layer that I have already layered on top of it. So I'm going to turn that off for right now. And I'm going to bring in that skull Ignorance is a Disease artwork and just drop it inside of here. And with that, I want to change the color to white. We know that the pocket is black, so that's not going to work. So I'm just going to color overlay it and hit OK. And then I'm going to Command S just to save it out. Now when I go back to my mockup, there it is on the shirt. And that's looking good. However, I think it's a little small. So if we go back into the layer 3 and I scale this up maybe here like so, and then we'll Command S, which is just saving it, and that looks pretty good. So when I zoom in, this is what we got. Now I'm gonna close down group 3 and I'm gonna rename this Black Pockets. Now this is looking pretty good and complete, and I like the way that it turned out. However, I want to go in here and I want to turn off this hue saturation because it's not really meant to be on here. Bella Canvas actually sells these different t-shirts and actually sell them in different colors, but we want to make sure that the mock that you guys have is what they actually have in stock. So I'm not 100% sure if they got that there, but if you guys just want to mock up this, it's going to show what your artwork looks like on a pocket tee, then that's pretty much cool for you to use. That's really up to your discretion. However, I have this second one right here that Bella Canvas sent out to me, which is pretty much just the inverse. So a black tee with a gray pocket. And I'm just going to go ahead and fix this one out and list this one on my Patreon account. So the thing here is I created this for Patreon, and my Patreon is pretty much $3 to $5. So if you guys ever want anything that I'm creating on my YouTube or you see on my Instagram or anything like that, then it will be listed on my Patreon. Now my designs are pretty much free. All you got to do is pay me $3 a month and you can get the designs. If you want the designs and the mock-ups that I'm creating, it's $5 a month. But just to let you guys know, it will be available on my Patreon, and I hope you guys can get that. That will really be helping me out at this point in time. But I'm gonna go ahead and fix this one out, so hope you guys like this one. And with this final tweak, you guys, that brings us to the end of this project. So I actually like making mockups. I actually started the channel off with a mockup. If you guys remember, I did the Nike shoe mockup, and that was available for download on my website. However, since then, I've created a Patreon account for people who actually want to get into that. So if you guys want to check out my Patreon account, it's definitely going to be a link in the description box below. I really look forward into reading everybody's comment about the mockup, or if you guys have actually created a mockup. So if you have one, or you actually have done this, leave it in the comment section below. If you like this one, give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, just go ahead and subscribe. I do this all the time. As a matter of fact, I invite you to check out the rest of my channel and just catch some value. I hope you guys enjoyed the mock-up process, and I hope you guys actually picked that up. With that being said, let's go ahead and close this one out. So stay amazing, stay creative, but above all else, stay awesome.